Idlewild, you want to learn real quick.
It's like Goku going into the weighted training.
This is not fun right now.
I wanted to just pizza and French fries the whole way down, and I was like, no, I have to learn how to ski right now.
Welcome in to season 4, episode 12 of Unstable Disc Course.
That's it.
Biggity bam.
Yeah.
Different episode for you guys today. Very different.
Yeah. Special edition.
We're on the road. And
We're outside.
We're completing destination penetration right now, which we were telling our guests about a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
On the road for this vacation, and we knew we were going to record an episode. We just didn't know exactly when or where. And as it happened, we were up here visiting with Jason Kerl and Adam Jones we're at Mt Airy Disc Golf Course.
The Nati.
We're at the Nati.
The Nati Disc Golf Pro Shop.
You guys run all this, and we were chatting and like, this is the coolest thing ever. Please tell us you're available to do a podcast like today in a couple hours.
Yeah.
Just organically happened. I loved it.
I think the evolution of this episode was we're going to camp. And so let's record the episode while we're camping.
Terrible idea.
Strike one.
And
then we saw the weather and we're not camping. And so let's record this in the hotel room, or let's record it the moment we get back, which was never going to be an option. And then let's record it after we visit the Nati. And then it was like, hey guys, what are you doing when you close? And they said nothing.
And here we are.
Here we are.
So different format for you guys, but don't fret. It's going to be awesome. We're sitting outside of the porch at the Nati. We have this we're on this beautiful course.
Beautiful view.
We got vibes.
We can see hole one.
I'm Alex Seminary of Disc Golf Chicago. I'm here with Adam Jones of, what would you say you're of?
Well, the Nati Disc Golf. Yeah, me and Jay are co-owners.
Co-owners of
Nati
the Nati.
Disc Golf.
Yep.
Ryan Fancher of Unstable Disc Golf Gear.
Yes, sir.
Sheila the Deucer is here with us as well. Hello. Sean Callahan of Idlewild Disc Golf.
Yes, sir.
Jason Callahan of Bag of Tricks.
I'm sore, but I'm here.
Oh, we can't wait to talk to you about that. And then Jason Kerl, other co-owner of the Nati.
I'm here as well.
It didn't feel right to introduce you guys as just of the Nati. From what we've already heard, you guys do so many things here.
Yeah, we both wear many, many hats. That is true.
Can you just give us a quick rundown of like other titles or credentials so listeners have an idea of kind of who we're talking to?
You need a rundown of your clients. Can you get that to me?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
What the hell is a rundown?
We didn't just
You
pick
guys
two
are
random people.
kind of a big deal.
Yeah,
So run down that list.
We're OG disc golfers in the area. We've both been playing for close to 36 years each. You know, Adam's held titles in the local club, president for years. Yeah. We are the TDs for the LWS Open at Idlewild Pro Tour event.
Awesome.
We help maintain courses. We design courses, run a lot of events in town, go out of town to run events, go out of town to help other people run events, teach people disc golf, get into schools, teach them disc golf, do whatever we can to grow the sport in Cincinnati, to be honest.
You guys are, we were jokingly saying the other Ryan and Sean.
Yeah, you guys are the Us's of Cincinnati.
Exactly.
So overwhelmingly awesome to know that there are more people that go through the same trials and tribulations that we go through that can identify all this stuff, and we're just all for the love of this sport, disc golf, that just propels us. It's too cool.
So we have a kind of a normal list of segments we run through, but we're just going to go with where the wind takes us with this conversation. Yeah. And one of the things
we are outside, so the wind may take us.
Yes,
that's right.
Nice breeze.
It's a little tailwind. It's going to help us go further.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what you did. Well done.
Selfless promo.
That wasn't obvious at all.
One of the things we thought would be a cool place to kind of start the conversation is your origins with the Nati, because tell us about the building, the property, and how it came to be what it is today with you guys.
I can start because I actually grew up and live 5 minutes up the road. I mean, I did summer camps here when I was a kid. I was actually playing disc golf before this started out as 9 holes.
This was originally 9 holes?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
It hosted the 95 Am Worlds, and by that year, it became a full 18. And then a few years later, it held the 98 Pro Worlds, and that was the last year of Climo's streak. He actually lost in 99 to Rocky Russell.
This is also the first course that ever had a rated round.
Yep, the 98 Worlds. Yeah.
Yep.
Whoa.
Yeah, Chuck Kennedy
Wow.
and PDJ staff used the 98 rounds from our courses since they're all really close to a base par of 54, and that helped develop the rating system.
So it's your fault.
Yes. But it started
Got
here. Yeah.
The headache of ratings started here.
We provided the course. Chuck
to
did
know.
all the
Yeah,
work.
well, we know it was Chuck's fault for
But
sure.
from what I understand from earlier, it started way before then because this building was built when?
1856.
Right?
This is the original farmhouse. This was a dairy farm, and then like circa 1930s, around the park was, or the land was donated to Cincinnati Parks. They planted over 1 million trees here. There are trees in this forest that it's 1,400 acres. They brought in trees from Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio. But yeah, this is all man-made. The building that we're in, you used to be able to rent it out for receptions up until about late 90s. And then it sat vacant till about 2007. And at that time, Fred Salas, one of the designers of Idlewild, talked to the parks about putting in a shop here and taking up the, use the building since it's nothing in here.
Yeah.
They agreed. Took us a while to get in. He needed somebody to build a website, design a logo. I was known for that. So he contacted me, started doing that. Next thing you know, I started working part-time for it when it opened up. Fast forward to 2013, Fred asked me if I wanted to buy it, and I said yes, but I'm going to bring Adam in with me as a partner, and we've owned it ever since.
You guys are celebrating your 10-year
I was going to
anniversary.
say, yeah, 10 years.
We were
Mine.
official March 14th,
Yeah.
2014.
2014.
Pi
The
Day.
ball started rolling around
So coming up,
2013.
this upcoming spring is 10 years.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dude,
That's huge.
It goes by so quick.
right?
And the amount I was looking recently, the amount you can look on your PDGA and see like the events that you've run.
Yeah.
Between him and I, we're probably close to, outside with PDGA and non-sanctioned events included, we're probably close to 400
Put
at least.
on, hosted, or played, or all the above.
Not even played.
Yeah.
Just
hosted.
hosted.
Just hosted, ran,
Yes.
or helped out at something like that. At
Yeah.
least 400 between the two of us.
Do we have a ballpark of what you guys have done, just for reference? No idea.
25% of that?
Yeah, I would say it's probably near 100.
Yeah.
So like involved with that, like, so when Adam was the president of the club, he was running those tournaments as well.
All those years.
And then came here running those events.
There was like times where I was doing like 30 events a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, you guys are
Yeah.
like OG double OG. Like
So
you
I
guys
went-
have been doing this, you said each 36 years. Like
Right.
I just picked up the sport in 2009. Ryan had been playing a few years before that. You go back to like mid 2000s.
I played a bit, yeah.
So like you guys had already been playing for like decades at that point
Yeah.
when we had picked up the sport. So I feel that sitting here. I've had those conversations with other people that have been around the sport, and like I guess I didn't realize that there was that at the base of what I have heard referred to as the Nati. It's amazing.
Well, we had, we had courses early on. We have a couple steady ed courses here. We have one of the oldest clubs in the country. So we have even guys that, are mentors.
Sure.
Like Scott Erkey, Fred Salas, Dan Bayless, guys that were doing this before we even got involved.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, granted, running tournaments back then was a lot different than, running a 300-person 3-day event these days.
Mm-hmm.
But there were those guys that we looked at the same way, like, man, you guys have been doing this for a while,
Yeah.
And now, him and I, Adam and I now have, like you said, we are those guys now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've put in the time, have the knowledge and wisdom. We got it from them, learn from them, and we
sure.
pass it on when we can.
Yeah, we talk about that at home a bunch, especially in J-Town, just how old our community is, late 70s, and the guys that when there was significantly less people to do this thing, that they were all still getting together and organizing it, and how important that is to the whole entire thing. That without that, you guys aren't doing what you're doing, we're not doing what we're doing, and
And
that
on that,
foundation is so important.
I've had, people reach out to us from Indianapolis a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Like, how do you guys have so many courses? Well, back then you had some people busting their butt, basically building their courses by hand, fundraising, because, the parks were like, yeah, here's some land for you. You got to do all the legwork.
Mm-hmm.
So they wanted more and more courses. So, all these courses were going in. And now it's to the point where if like a county gets a park, they call us like, we want a course in.
Mm-hmm.
it's
We don't
completely
have to.
flipped.
Yeah, we don't have to go to a city council meeting and beg and plead for a course.
Right.
Do you take that for granted? Do you think?
I know we're spoiled because
We're spoiled.
with the 50-some courses in our area.
Yeah, but we're also at that point where the green space, if it doesn't have a course, probably not going to get a course. It's
Wow.
that avenue has probably gone down. Now, I will say,
There are still a lot of parks in our
yeah,
area
like we
that we're
recently
not.
opened Devou Disc Golf Course, or Devou down in northern Kentucky. You probably heard about it as a course that
That
some
was one of the
baskets
ones
got.
that I had saw on UDisc and was like, ooh, that looks, 4.2 rated. I was like, we should check that out.
Yeah, so that course went in 4 days later. Somebody stole 14 of the 18 baskets
Oh,
Oh, what year did that go in?
last year.
Oh,
And but go back, 10, 15 years ago when we had a course challenge there, we did a temporary course.
yeah.
And the city was like, they were like, can we put a permanent course? No. So I thought it would never fly.
Yeah.
Fast forward to COVID, boom, everybody's out doing the sport.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Now it has a permanent course on it.
Sure.
So now that I do say, if it's a green space and it doesn't have a course, it's probably not going to get one. But there is that possibility. We're moving more outside of like the 275 loop that goes around Cincinnati. I think that's where we're going to see more of our expansion go to.
There's more available space
Yeah.
outside the loop.
It is the opposite of a lot of the conversations that happen on this show, because in our area, it is people begging and pleading with somebody and trying to make the case and build these presentations and build these partnerships over years to get permission to put a course in. And I think we have a good amount of, like, a healthy amount of courses in the area, but none of them get in without a mile or 10 miles of just paperwork and pleading, and
Yeah.
for the most part.
Sure.
And it's financially. I mean, you gotta bring it to the point of them. Like if they're putting in a knot hole baseball field, that's $100,000.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't look like $100,000, but grading it, flattening it out, doing this and that. Disc golf course, a lot less expensive,
Right.
and a lot less maintenance.
Yeah.
For the longevity of the course. And that's what you gotta sell them on that. And, people getting out and getting active instead of, people sitting around playing video games and things like that.
Yeah, and we've got all the data, especially with
Yeah.
UDisc and other resources now. You can actually physically show them this is what you're getting.
Right.
And I do think UDisc does help that out. Like,
Yeah.
here's
They
the
do.
amount of
They do.
rounds that were played in your town.
Yeah, we were. I was meeting with them, just some of the guys from UDisc, a couple weeks ago, and they were excited about the work we're trying to do to get courses into Chicago, of which there's none.
Yeah,
And they were
Chicago
like,
proper. Yeah.
Here's all the data from neighboring counties, and you can show, how many people are playing, how often do they play, what are the demographics. And they were like, yo, take this information, please do good with it.
Yeah.
Like,
And Sean is also the ambassador for how many of the courses on
Too
UDisc?
many.
Yeah. And so we can see all the stats for all of those courses and pull them up and give them back to the
And
parks
immediately forward
departments.
them to the
And just say-
park we may be working with on such and such project, whether it's
Yeah.
new baskets or shanty or
Right.
trying to figure out
Yeah.
T-
You had
T-Pez at
25
Homer
people,
and
2,500 people play this course at, from here to here, and this is what we need. And
stuff that they don't know, because to them it's just the disc golf.
And I think, on a same kind of idea, like the Pro Tour, you can just sit down with, a city commissioner and show them a video. Hey, this is a lifestyle. People are making this. Like we have two locals on tour, Zach Arlinghouse and Rebecca Cox. These people are on tour making a living, and be like, these people grew up in here, and
they're
now
from
this is what they're
town.
doing.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
If they
iconic.
didn't have the courses, like this was Rebecca Cox's home course.
oh, that's cool.
So
That's such
Yep.
a good story.
I
to
always
tell.
remember
Yeah.
seeing you guys mixed in with her socials. It was great. Yeah, for sure.
her dad was actually just in here before you guys got here.
Nice.
He still lives in town.
I just got a trespass from her.
I think about the town, like when I grew up in Joliet, I remember there being a Mike Allstott painted banner under a bridge somewhere. NFL player came from this town. He went to high school here. We're proud that this guy came from here. To have, that's such a cool story to pitch to
Yeah.
a park district person or a government person. Like this could be somebody's origin story for being the best in the world at something.
Right. From
Yeah.
here.
That's so cool.
No doubt.
One of the things we did want to talk about kind of out of the gate was like the relationships with park districts, and we've kind of already started to do that, but can you like pros and cons of working with the particular people you guys usually work with?
Yeah, so that's more my realm, because I've when I got back, I actually lived in Florida for 6 years, and when I moved back in 2004, I got more back involved in playing more, competing, got heavily more involved with our club, and that's where I actually volunteered to be the course pro for here at Mt Airy. So from 2005 till today, I've been the main liaison between club, community, and Cincinnati parks. And in doing so, I started to develop more of an ambassador role for our whole area, which is more than a dozen park systems. So you're dealing with different cities, different townships and counties, and it's a lot just to deal with that throughout the whole year. Because with our area of almost 50 courses, granted you don't have to be involved with every single one, but you're always keeping tabs and advising and consulting.
Sure.
I would hope so, yeah.
Which ones need new baskets, new
Right.
pads?
Some need more TLC than others.
Yeah.
Some deserve it more than others.
And your voice is probably the one they listen to. And
Correct.
yeah, that's awesome.
Dealing with them for over years, you learn how to talk to them. You learn what their needs are, and our needs are mutual, and you fulfill their needs, which fulfill yours.
Well, we talked about that on the last episode where Kevin put together that giant presentation for the park district about
that was for the forest preserves.
Yeah, how
have
they
different
could
objectives than a parks district.
Right, how they could raise all this money and how they could make all this money with disc golf courses, and what they really wanted to see was how many people they could get in that green space and what was important to them. And now that you've done that for so long, you can cater to that and you can spin those words in the way that they want to hear it. And that's great.
We burned a year trying to prove to them that they could make money by putting disc golf courses into forest reserve areas, and they just blew off a lot of the communication. Once we started to show them, here's how many people are coming to these events, these little pop-up events that we're doing and things like that, then they started to go, what else can we do with disc golf? How else can you help us get people out in the parks? That's all they cared about.
Exactly.
It took us a year to figure that out.
Yeah, and we're actually currently in the midst of some of our older courses getting some revamps. Like two of our oldest courses, Woodland Mounds just got redone.
It's our county parks.
Yeah, new baskets, new tee pads. Our next one is going to be Winton Woods. It's been around since, 83?
Yeah, 78 to 83, our first four. And granted, we've been going to meetings with them for over a decade.
Right.
To get them. And it's finally taken, since COVID, a lot of parks have dropped a lot of old staff, brought in new staff, a lot of changing of heads, and a lot more progress is being made because a lot of the people that were there were holding things back.
And they were doing things the way they'd been doing things for forever.
So
and
it's happening everywhere.
Yes.
Got it. Loud and clear.
And I think the sport is just, it's finally at that point where more people outside of the sport have at least heard of it.
Sure.
Oh,
Where, your
by
park
far.
systems back in the day, what is disc golf?
Yeah, they go to these conferences, and any of these conferences, you're seeing disc golf.
Now you're
people
seeing
there.
Innova there, Dynamic there.
Right.
It's more in their face outside of the area.
So I got to ask, we often get caught up in the conversation at home of pay-to-play courses and what it looks like, why Delwood isn't pay-to-play, and we have a very similar situation as you guys. How often does that come up? What does that look like? I'm sure you guys talk about it.
Oh, yeah. It's not that often. I mean, that was part of the discussion here for about a couple of years, but it wasn't feasible.
Yeah, I think the problem is like in our area, like this course, there is no way that you can monitor people paying and playing.
Okay.
There's way too many places to park up by hole 6, hole 8. They could just, if they know they got to pay down here, they'll just park there, skip these 2 holes back here. We also have too many courses in the area. If they got to pay at this one, they're going to go to this one.
Sure.
Now, we do have a couple private courses around town that charge, $5 a day.
Yeah, or volunteer pick up as you go.
And everybody's all for paying that. I think in our area, we're just we're too established to try to change into that world.
Sure.
Yeah.
Places like you go up to Maple Hill is pay to play. Marshall Street across the street's pay to play. 501 down the road. Everything is a private course.
Shawnee Lookout would have been a good Hamilton County pay to play. It was a golf course they were going to drop, or they were hopefully adding disc golf to the golf course, and then they ended up closing the golf course and changing all their plans. After we had developed a design, 80 plus hours of work, staked it out, laid it out, we're ready to go with install, and they stopped.
I think that your park systems are not necessarily looking to make money off of disc golf. It's too cheap for them to maintain it and put it in the ground.
Yeah, the big parks don't care about revenue coming in from that. It's about the community.
Sure.
Like you were talking about the green space. They just want people in their park.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you got a playground up the road, are you going to charge those kids to play on the playground too? And that playground probably costs as much as,
If not
6
more.
of the holes. Exactly.
If not more. Yeah.
I think in the case of Delwood, the park itself was a little bit less savory for the people of Lockport to be in, and a little less safe for a lot of people, or at least that's how they felt. And now once the disc golf course has been in, everybody seems to be using that space quite a bit more. Everybody feels safe. Sean gets told that constantly.
That's
by-
Mount Airy here too.
Yeah, and
That's how
so
this place was.
I feel like the Parks Department, it just in that aspect alone, thinks that that's worth the trouble of helping and doing that to keep
the
people
traffic
on
keeps
the
the
park.
bad stuff out.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's got to be, because the amount of stuff that they still continue to let us do is like, sweet. Okay. They're happy. They're happy
Yeah.
with it.
I mean,
That's-
they just put another $25,000 worth of stairs in.
yeah.
We're just like, here you go, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, great.
But it's great to hear you guys feel the same way and that you're experiencing the same thing. I mean,
that's
yet another parallel in our lives. Like,
Yeah.
That's exactly,
Layers deep, yeah.
And that's why the parks love and they want to devote this ridge to just disc golf, because they know the traffic we're bringing in. They know what we're keeping out of the park.
yeah,
It's all positive from our end.
sure.
Yeah. More
so-
parks see the value that we all knew we had.
Yeah.
Totally.
That makes me wonder about there's such a, I feel like there's almost a cultural divide of like the old school of disc golf and disc golf of today. And when I look at some of our local clubs and just the local scene, to me there's an evident divide of people who want to push the sport forward and people who like what it is and has been to them for a long time. You're smiling, Adam. Makes me think you have thoughts right off the top of your head.
You know, I've talked with a lot of people throughout different states and different cities, and it's similar. That older culture doesn't want to see the change, but we all know change is inevitable. It's how we evolve. We have to go through it.
We can see that in here because a lot of the old school disc golf that we are used to in J-Town especially resists change quite a bit, and us being there has kind of flipped disc golf on its head, and seeing you guys be old school disc golfers and also doing what we're doing
Yes.
is
Oh,
yeah.
like
We
it's
end
a
up being
strange
stuck in the middle
dichotomy. Yeah.
in many situations.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's great to see. You
I
know,
feel like that's one of the things that isn't the parallel, because I kind of look at these guys as like, oh, this is as if Jesse Sains opened Delwood Disc Golf,
Yep.
Right.
yeah,
not
it's crazy.
me.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to liken it to anything at home that we understand of, like who is the you guys at home as far as your depth in the community, and that's who kind of comes to mind.
So you've talked about parallels twice, and that's what I want to get into now, because my favorite part of today was listening to you guys kind of like shoot shop shit,
Yeah.
and those parallels and also the differences. So let's get into the similarities between Delwood and the Nati, and also
Yeah.
the differences, because
Can I,
that was very interesting.
before I pass it to you, Sean,
Yeah.
I don't know if we've really clarified for listeners who don't. I was not aware of really what was here and what this was until we just got here.
Mm-hmm.
So we came down here to play Idlewild, and we played Idlewild yesterday, and now we're at a nearby course, Mt Airy, which has a pro shop on site. We're not talking about Idlewild now. We're talking
Right.
about
right.
Mount
This,
Mount
like,
Airy,
yes.
and we
Nati.
almost
Yeah.
thought about calling this episode The Other Delwood, but
Yeah.
just to give listeners a frame of reference of sort of what we're going to be talking about here.
For sure. I mean, the moment that we walked in and you started speaking, I was like, oh, immediately. And then I'm looking around and like I didn't realize that I had a checklist of the things I was going to see in the shop, but I was like, yep. Oh, they have the little jar where they take the funds, and yep, they have all the little things. And of course, it's a pro shop. They're both pro shops, but the way that you're doing it and how integrated into the community, it was apparent right away from the older discs that you guys have on the walls and such, and just the stories you could feel immediately when you walked in the door. And that's, I feel like, aligned. Although we've been doing it less time than you, that is the vibe that you get when you walk into the pro shop. So immediately felt that.
I think I think the parallels start with the fact that we both have a shop on a course.
Yes.
That's
Which is unique. There's
It's
not
on-
that many
Yeah,
out
there's
there.
not a lot
on
of that.
public
On
park
on
land.
public property.
And
Yeah.
on a destination course as well.
definitely unique. But even things like we were talking, we don't have an online store. You
That
don't
was
have
the
an
other
online
thing.
store.
Yeah, exactly.
We
You
have
said
a
that,
huge
it
lost
blew
and
my mind.
found. You have a huge lost and found. 60 days to pick up your disc. Same thing with you.
Yep.
All the way down to the events you're running. Struggles that you have, things we have.
Working with the
yeah.
DGPT.
Right.
Yep.
You guys ran a silver event. We've run the Elite Series event since 2017.
Right.
So we had a good conversation about that.
We could have a whole episode on
On just that.
that
yeah.
On
situation.
just that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we had to create an event for the tour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
right.
think the only difference that I've seen so far is we load up and go vend elsewhere
Yes.
more than you do.
Yes.
He does load up and he will vend for other tournament directors that don't have access
Locally
to
in Chicagoland area,
Right,
but
right.
it seems like you guys are going to like much larger, maybe more DGPT events than I would even consider.
So, and that's like the events that we were talking about before. I go to DDO every year. This year, I ran 6 of their flex starts for them, and then was the co-TD of Jones East. That was 7 sanctioned events that I basically ran that week. But, you know, getting out and just helping anybody we can, whether it is like we go to Lexington, we help do their payouts for them like you do.
Right.
Some events we just go out of town and vend ourselves.
Right.
We're going to USDGC this week. That's obviously just vending because I'm not running that tournament.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Nor do I want to.
Thank you. No, thank you.
No.
Yeah.
Another thing too, I noticed right away was the fact that you have a relationship with Dynamic Discs.
Right.
I'd like to hear more about that. I also have a relationship with Discmania and have now for 3 years. So, like, what has that been like, and how much does that assist with all the stuff that you guys do?
When did that start?
20.
Because we had Innova the first 3 years for Idlewild.
Yeah. So it's really started out we had Innova as a sponsor of the Pro Tour event for 2017, 18, and 19.
Yeah.
After that, we decided to see what our other options were.
Now, was that strictly just, okay, all the fundraising discs that you guys are going to purchase and sell and raise funds for are going to be Innova discs? Is that what we're talking?
They become basically a manufacturer sponsor.
Sure.
Yeah.
So we decided to explore other options after, you know, having a couple thoughts. I had known Jeremy Rusko for quite a while. We used to run into him all the time down at Bowling Green.
Yeah, we ran into him when we were there.
So
And you knew Tyler for years.
yeah, and Tyler Searle, who drives one of their RVs, and Jay Ray.
Yeah.
So after our conversation with Innova, my first thought was, let me give Jeremy a call. And I stood pretty much right where we're at, had about a 30-minute conversation with him. You know, what can you do? And it was a Tuesday. And he said, I'll have my guys work up an offer for you, and we'll have it to you by Friday. Well, the next morning I had an email that was above and beyond what I was expecting.
Sure.
So then,
we did reach back out to Innova.
yes.
What were your expectations going into something like that? What did you think it was going to be looking
You got to think this is our third year. First year, you're doing everything as best you can, and you're learning because Dodge and everybody, we're learning as we go.
Sure.
So first year we were in the red. It was only pros. We didn't do any AM side. Every penny we tried to build as much to the purse as we could. Granted, we could do a whole episode on this because the parks cover a lot for us.
Right.
Yeah, our minimum added cash was like 12.5 at that time.
At that time, yeah. No, I think it was 10. I think it was 10.
Yeah, they
First
went
year.
from 10 to 12.5 to 15.
Yep.
But at the time, we hadn't hit COVID boom yet.
Right.
Trying to raise $12,000.
Pre-COVID disc golf, that's a lot.
So we
That's
were
hustling.
Right. We were relying a lot on fundraiser discs. That's
Yeah.
a lot of discs to sell.
That is
Yeah,
a
you
lot.
end up having maybe half after the event. You're still trying to sell because you already put the money in.
Yeah.
Sure.
And it was a point that we were our local club. I was, give me $10, I'll put your name on a banner
Sure.
just to get like $1,000.
Right.
So it got to the point where looking more for a monetary donation instead of me trying to sling 3,000 discs
Sure.
to make up this money. Now, granted, we had some other people, we were selling T-sign sponsorships, this and that, but that conversation with Jeremy was a little more of, and it was really like, what can you do? We didn't say we need this, or this. It was, Idlewild has that reputation. He's like, you guys run great events. Same thing with Dodge. Like, if you want to be on the Pro Tour, you pretty much have to submit an application.
Mm-hmm.
We ran into Steve Dodge down at the Champions Cup at IDGC in 2016.
Director's Cup.
Cup. That's
all
what
the TDs go and play.
Yeah, and he said, I want Idlewild on the Pro Tour. You guys are 2 of the best TDs in the Midwest. Do you want it? We never applied for it.
Yeah, he asked us, can we do it?
That event was never an event before the Pro Tour.
Wow.
So fast forward, a couple years, and we had grown. We had got this reputation of running a very smooth, very well run event. So Jeremy offered us that. We went back to Innova, said, this is what we're getting. And they're like, go with it. That's hard to beat.
Yeah.
Along that same time, Tyler Searle got a new RV through Latitude. And I knew he had the old RV. And Tyler's like, Jeremy said you can have the RV if you want it. Okay. It's better than renting a cargo van all the time.
Sure.
So flew down to Pensacola, Florida, picked up the RV, drove it back. So that started a reputation with Dynamic. Then we got, we started doing more and more events with them. Pro Tour event was obviously all Dynamic. And then I got on their team, which helped out, which that's why I go to DDO and GBO to help them out.
Sure.
And it was just basically just raising the Dynamic brand in the area.
Yeah.
I mean, we had Brad Boomer, who has started the trilogy.
Yep, I see him
out of
all the
Dayton.
time. Yep.
On
Facebook
he started the
anyway,
trilogy in around this area, so we were just trying to push it a little more.
Sure.
And do you see the results of the work that you've put in with Dynamic Discs? I mean, are you seeing the growth of that particular
Specifically
trilogy
with that
brands
brand?
and everything?
As we offer more players are actually using it.
Yeah, I mean, now we don't do all of our players packs are not all Dynamic.
Sure.
It's event to event. Like Queen City Amps is typically Discraft, things like that. But you do see
That's one of the few things we have changed in the last since the pandemic.
we used to our events for your players pack. You had the option of picking one disc from 70 molds. We would get the same stamp on Innova, Trilogy, Prodigy, because we didn't want to force certain discs on people. We wanted to give
top
people the
5 or
option.
6 brands. We did a tour stamp for the year for our 5 or 6 events, PGA
Cool.
events.
Oh, I see. Instead of event specific.
That's really
Yeah.
cool.
Right.
Yeah.
Because our area is too diverse.
Right.
Sure.
But now you have a lot of your manufacturers that they want to say presented by.
Yeah. Right.
Or
They'll only give
powered
you that
by.
discount if you have a
Sure.
tour date or
Right.
an event date. Yeah.
Right.
They like kind of handcuff you to only choose
Yeah.
one.
We've dealt with that.
But you also, you got to take into account, like, if you're running an AMPS event, you don't need to give everybody a boss. I
mean,
be a little more, you've got a couple women's divisions or older divisions. There's some diamonds in there, some lightweight stuff, and have it only for them for a good option.
Yeah.
And I think that's where all the brands at least now have those good options for people.
Yeah.
Sure.
But yes, I would say a lot of our discs that people pick up in players packs, they buy another one.
Sure.
But it's also the manufacturer. I mean, if you look at Trilogy's Royal line, it just speaks for itself.
Yeah.
I don't have to push Graces.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Graces sell themselves.
Yeah, it's kind of like the glitch.
Yeah.
You don't have to say, "Hey,
Yeah, you just
everybody,
have to
come
have
buy
them.
a glitch."
Just
you just
have
gotta
them.
have them.
I literally just sent in my 9th restock of the year for just the glitch.
I'm playing in a glitch
Same.
only event
Same.
in a week.
Oh yeah, I got to make those trophies for Mike. Yeah, I should probably do that
Oh, yeah,
before
shoot.
too long.
Yeah.
Whoops.
All right, I want to
Mike, don't
change
listen to
gears.
this.
I want
They're
to
already
change
done.
gears a
They
little
look
bit
great.
because we were just talking about beginner-friendly discs. Something really, really special has happened on this trip.
Oh yeah.
We didn't know about this. One of the big entertaining factors of the show is that it's 3 guys who are very deeply involved in disc golf and 1 guy who never has played, and he's the outside perspective on everything.
So first
Who's my
round.
funny older
Yeah.
brother that does really good trivia on the side for his sidekick.
We were just like, he was like, "Can I be on the show?" And we were like, "Let's give it a shot."
Sure.
And he's been amazing.
Oh come on.
Never
He's
played.
It's been fine.
7 out of 10.
Yeah.
So
I'll take it. Shit.
we agreed to do this trip. We get here, and he's like, "Guess what? I got a bag, and I got discs in it, and I'm gonna play." And we
Like
were
he
Don't
didn't.
tell me it said Franklin on it.
No, it didn't.
Oh, no, come on.
He didn't like an in the bag as we were in the parking lot at Idlewild. It was awesome.
Yeah, that was very
Yeah.
cool. So I want we cannot not talk about your experience, especially it's your first experience, and we went to
And where'd you take him?
Idlewild.
Of course.
Yeah.
And before you do this, I will tell you that we ran a starter pack only challenge at
Really?
Idlewild. And what's crazy is the amount of 150 gram leopards that come out of that course into the lost and
Oh,
found.
lost and found. Yeah, sure.
Still.
I kid you not, every time we run an event there, whether they come out of the water or the weeds on the 1,000-footer,
the
you'll
sharks-
get 5 of those leopards.
The sharks were more stable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So how'd it go?
Yeah.
I could sum it up in one word, and that word is sore. 'Cause
Yeah.
and I'm not talking about the amount of airplanes that soared over our head yesterday. I'm talking about how my body feels right
The
now.
condition of your gooch at the
Yes,
moment.
yeah,
is,
my God, gooch, taint, whatever you want to call it, it is screaming. But
Chafin Callahan.
yeah,
chafing.
but I had a great time. So we chose Idlewild. I know we referenced it earlier in the season we had a bracket style thing where we kind of took the 16 best courses
As listed on UDisc.
as
yeah.
listed on UDisc, and
And
kind of
did
just
one-on-one debates. of
one-on-one
why-
debates,
why
right?
would we
And
go here
then move
versus
them
there?
slowly into the
Free
bracket.
to play.
Free to play.
Free to play. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we skipped over the ones that were at the top that were
Yep.
pay to play.
Right.
Keep
And
that
that's
in
how
mind.
we ended up with Idlewild. So
We could have ended up with Puyo Kyopio.
Puyo Kyopio.
We did
But
not.
We ended up, we ended up stayed stateside and ended up at Idlewild. And I would say my expectations were high for several reasons. I also had, other than pulling up the pictures on UDisc and looking at those pictures, that was my input on the bracket, right? Because I had never played it.
That's a
I
nice
never-
picture.
Yeah. I was like, cool, we'll go with that one.
That one's got
Because
good flowers.
That one's got, exactly. It was that kind of thing. And I would say, it totally met my expectations. I had fun playing. I didn't think I was going to. I knew I was going to be sore. I'm making a joke. I knew I was going to be sore, but I had a lot of fun playing.
It's a lot of up and down. There's
There's a lot of up and down.
Yes.
And like Sean told me, he was like, bro, this is you jumped into the double black diamond. You didn't, this isn't the bunny slope of disc golf.
Yeah.
Like you're at the top of the mountain.
You're gonna
and
have a hard
staring
time.
down. Yeah, exactly.
So tips down, baby, tips down.
Yeah.
We're going to take it slow, take it easy, make sure everybody has a good time. Because what is skiing about? Having a good time. That's right.
What's even worse is go back and play Idlewild 10 years ago.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of people don't realize.
Yes, like the
It's
amount
so
of
much
honeysuckle
easier
that
now.
him and I have taken out
Easier
along
now,
the side
really?
of the fairway.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Those 20-foot wide fairways used to be like 10-foot.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we've cleared out so much. Well, you lose trees.
Yeah,
faster
there's been a
than you
lot
gain
of trees come down there.
Yeah.
and we cleared out so much.
What I think was amazing was he stepped up to hole one, which we all understand and know from all the coverage that we've seen. And we're like teeming with anticipation and excitement because we're standing where they all have stood, and it's this big deal. And he gets up and we're expecting him to throw 10 feet and it to go so far to the right. He's a lefty. Halfway through the course, like he was gaining. He was getting 75 feet, 100 feet, 110, 120 feet. And to see the growth in his skill level just from,
In
hole
40
one.
holes.
Yeah, it's been incredible to see. And it like reminds me of all of us starting.
Yeah.
Idlewild, you want to learn real quick.
It's like Goku going into
Because
the
you learn
weighted
real quick.
training.
Yeah.
This is not fun right now.
Yeah, I wanted to just pizza and French fries the whole way down, and I was like, "No, I have to learn how to ski right now."
Okay, you see what he did? He French fried when he should have pizzaed. You French fry when you pizza, you're going to have a bad time.
Yeah.
You crammed multiple years of painstaking experience into one weekend.
Yeah.
Or
On
whatever
one of the
it
hardest
is.
tracks I have personally played.
What did we
Yeah.
play? 24. Right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
24
we
there.
played the
Yeah.
24.
Did you get a 3 on anything?
1-3. I had
Nice.
1-3 yesterday.
1-3.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
You did.
Yeah.
Today, I think you were looking
A lot of nines.
much nicer. You were
But I did have
you got a
1-3.
lot of
More on
fours
your
today
hips.
too, though.
You were squaring up on your
Oh,
hips
yeah.
a little bit more and releasing
Yeah.
flat.
I was saying you were getting a lot of fours today, which I think demonstrated that like the way you were choosing your shots and how much distance you were getting.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, for
just
his
yesterday
level, yeah.
to today.
That's really good.
Yeah.
So here's a fun thing about Idlewild. Pre-PDJ live scoring, you run an AM division at Idlewild, and trying to add that score up back then,
Oh, dude.
Oh yeah, when
12
you had to
plus
manually
11 plus
check,
9 plus 6.
Oh God!
Dude.
How many mistakes were there? Every card.
But then you're like,
Just like-
you're like, this guy's got 120. Do I really need to stroke him?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
totally.
is really what it would come down
That
to.
guy had
We'll
it.
fix
He had
it for you,
enough
bud.
fun
You
today.
had a hard enough time.
Good 120, bud.
oh, it was actually 119. Good to go.
Good news! I found an extra stroke. On that.
So and that's, and I always tell people that the change of being a TD these days, you kind of got into the game a little bit late.
Oh, the TD spreadsheet
The
reports.
days of, spreadsheets, counting scorecards, players meetings.
Well, it's changed.
Yeah.
Good and bad.
Good things. Live scoring, awesome. I don't have to count scorecards. I can start
Totally.
doing payout as they're walking off a
Totally.
whole 18.
Yeah.
Yep.
Downfall, I miss the player meetings.
We say that
Yes.
every tournament.
It takes
You're not
out
as
some of the
connected.
camaraderie because
does.
right now when people are done playing, they
Yep.
leave.
Yep.
I'll get my PayPal, whatever.
Yep.
So, we've often talked about running an old school tournament.
Right.
Not necessarily to where they have to mail in a check.
Yeah, right.
The first tournament I ever played in, I mailed in a check.
Yeah.
But that you got to limit the field, because if you're doing shotgun starts, that's when you can only. That's the only time you can do a players meeting.
Yeah,
Sure.
we've kind of pledged to play a little bit more this year, because that's probably another parallel where you guys don't play as often as you
Oh,
like,
never.
right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'll play more this next week down in Charlotte than I have all year.
Yeah. So we pledged to play. There's another tournament director that's in our area that's doing more shotgun style, but half the divisions one day, half the divisions the other day, and 2 rounds per day. And we've been playing them, and it's been great, because all the people that
It
we
works for
normally
our
see,
schedule.
they're all there for the player meeting, and then it's shotgun starts, and everybody yells 2 minutes, and it gives us that feel of like, oh, this is kind of how I started. This feels great.
Yeah.
And we do miss that quite a bit. But
Yeah.
I mean, we just have too much demand. We just had 226 players for our Shanty Classic, which is a B tier.
Nice.
There's no other way but tee times.
We're
Right?
fortunate
That's the way to do
enough
it.
too to just be on the tail end. Like when I got into the sport in 2009, I almost immediately started playing events, so I was able to see the tail end of that older era. So I was able to experience it and be a part of it, then to know kind of that vibe is a thing. That player, that everybody gathering at the same time is special. It's not just they did it this way, that there was something to it. And that's a vibe that we continue to chase and try to build at our events just all day long, instead of at 9 o'clock and 1 o'clock and 5 o'clock. It's let's keep this feeling of the old school, shotgun tournaments, and just carry it throughout the day.
Yeah.
It used to be that you would play in a tournament and you would play 2 rounds with 6 different people.
Yeah.
You got to know those guys.
Yeah.
And then you got to know other people standing around. Nowadays, we have so many people come play our tournaments. I'm like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I used to know, so-and-so's here, so-and-so's here. Now I'm
there
like,
were
First, middle, and last.
there were a dozen players this past weekend at Shanty I've never seen before in my life.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think that's where that camaraderie, that meeting, talking, just it's everybody's still awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah. I kind of liken it to, I think we are the last generation. You guys are probably slightly older than we are, but we grew up with black and white TVs, and we've seen the evolution of the desktop computer and video games and all this stuff. And now we have it all in the palm of our hand and have all this technology, but we see all where it came from. And having to wait for that 56K modem to connect. And, all of these things that we won't take for granted as much, because we've seen how far it's come. And too, like my daughter is 7 years old. Like she just picks up her iPad and just starts scrolling through Netflix to find a movie. And I'm like, you don't understand.
I have no idea.
And I feel like a lot of disc golfers are in that same boat. Like they come into your shop and they pick out whatever they want and they go hit these courses that could have not been dreamed up, 30 years ago.
and they got flight numbers nowadays to look at. They've
Exactly.
got tutorial videos
Yep.
to look at.
Yeah,
They've
and they
got-
can right directly behind me post a "How does my form look?" video and get 100 posts before they start their round.
Right.
It's crazy.
On this subject, what do you guys think is the most misunderstood part about what you do? What do you think new players, what do you wish they understood more about what you're doing today?
How about the biggest misconception?
That's fine. Yeah, that's great.
That we're making $1 million running these
I
events.
was just gonna say that.
Bro, it's louder
Oh
in the
my
back.
God.
Louder for the people in the back, please.
I mean, to be honest with you, there is no other. That is
You
the
are
echelon.
us.
Yeah.
You are
Yeah.
us.
Did we just become best friends? Yup. You want to go do karate in the garage? Yup.
And
We
I
are
will
the
tell you
same
right
dude.
now, like Adam was saying earlier, the first couple of years of the Pro Tour event, that is a lot of work.
Yes.
People don't see the coursework you're doing.
Oh,
They
it's
just
months.
see
Yeah.
they're showing up on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. They're not seeing you there for the previous 2 months.
Right.
It is pennies on the hour.
Yes.
right.
Oh, you can't calculate.
And I'm not
it.
putting in 10 million hours. I'm putting in a lot of hours, but it's for the love of the game.
Yeah.
Like we wanted to bring the best players in the world to Cincinnati so people around here could see it. We didn't care what we made off the events. So me, that's the biggest misconception. I don't think being a TD is as hard as it used to be. I think like we were just discussing.
Yeah. I think
But-
different areas, different events, different courses have unique struggles that that others don't.
I mean, once you get it
The
down,
flip side of what you're saying about it not being as hard as it used to be, though, is some people think it's so easy, and then they do half-assed events, or they do events where you don't get a great player. Like the barrier of entry to being a TD now is not.
Yeah, it's very
I
low.
think the same challenges are there, but certain things have gotten easier with technology.
Yeah.
Totally.
But
it's
the other
easy
stuff
to
is
run
still
an
there.
event. It's hard to run a good one.
That's,
Ooh,
that's
that's
the point
right.
I'm trying to say.
To be good at it.
Covering bases, your players packs, if you're going to offer lunch, this and that, payouts, getting payouts done in a quick manner.
Knowing every different possible OB scenario and how that will be ruled.
Supplying water,
handling
keeping it
weather
stocked.
and bad conditions and things. There's so many things that we preach at home that obviously we know you guys go through too. So my God,
weather?
it is you guys have
You wanna talk weather?
refueled everything that I want to do when we go home. Hearing you guys feel the same way as us is just, it feels so gratifying.
I would say that
justified.
Like Adam and I are a very good team. I have my specialties. He has his specialties. I couldn't tell you the last time I did a TD report.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, he does all that. I do all the graphics. I do the orders for the players packs, this and that. So having two people, and we don't even have to tell each other what we're doing. I know what he's doing.
Yeah.
We've just been doing
done
it long
so
enough.
long. We know what we got.
Yeah, so that makes it a lot easier. Running. There are a lot of people these days, I think, that are just, I'm going to run an event.
Yeah,
I'm going to start a club.
But they don't. They don't even contact the park that they're going to run the event in.
That's the first point you do.
Yes. So next thing you know, they're running an event without insurance. If this park hears about it, they can stop all events from going on at that.
Right.
So these
You're
people,
talking leagues and tournaments?
either or.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think I've seen that happen way too much, and that's burning some bridges that took years and years to build.
Yeah.
Like him and I, we can text our park directors here, like, hey, the beginning of the year, we need it this date, this date, this date. And, like at Lincoln Ridge.
Well, they put us ahead of everybody else.
Right. So we can reserve shelters and stuff before anybody else.
That's awesome.
So like Lincoln Ridge, it's another course in Northern Kentucky. It's got 3 shelters there. We rent all 3 shelters for the entire weekend. So there's nobody there having a birthday party, taking up a bunch of parking, this or that. And it's
because they don't have parking.
Yeah, they don't
what
have
level
enough
is that of that event?
That's
Just
a B tier. That's
B
the
tier?
big 3 that goes on Mt Airy, Lincoln Ridge, and Idlewild.
300 people, 500 people,
360 max.
360.
60.
We 18 at each course, filled each day.
Sure.
Tee time still 2 something.
Yeah, but covering your bases like that, let the parks have some money. If you're going to complain about the parks needing to rent you a shelter for $50,
Sure,
get over it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
I spend $400 in water.
Some waive it for us.
Totally.
They don't feel like charging us because of the value. Some are like, hey, it's part of a policy.
Yeah.
It's not much here.
We just
don't
did
have a problem.
our Shanahan Classic this past weekend, and we were one portion of 4 groups, I think, that came together to raise funds to put new baskets in at that course.
Yep.
So the last 2 years, they've been really cool. Just kind of like, oh yeah, we'll send
good.
you a bill, but they don't. And I know what they're doing. It's great.
And I will put a PSA out there. If you are a tournament director, the course that you're running the event on, do some coursework on it.
Yeah.
Volunteer at that course.
No, do it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
But if you're going to do an event, put some time in. Make sure your course is ready.
Totally. That's why, at least for us in the movement we're doing, that's a big part of the reason why, exactly what you guys are talking about, because I can't go over to Highland and run an event without also being a part of the guys that are making decisions for that place so that it's the best version it can be, so that it's good all the way around.
Mm-hmm. And for a long time, that's how courses got cleaned up every year, is right before an event was hosted.
Yeah.
I'm always looking for as many situations to talk with people that do what we do for a living. There aren't many. I only have a couple of friends across the country that do what we do. Do you guys have any questions for us, or something like, is there something from our perspective that you guys have questions about? Obviously, you've been doing it longer, but how are we doing it, or what have you noticed social media wise that may be different?
I'm trying to learn how to delegate more, but trying to inspire others. Like we did, Andy Harshbarger in West Virginia, Huntington. He has Van Man Disc. Before that, he was a friend. I went over there, helped him with some course stuff there, taught him how at the time I was president of our club, showed him what we were doing, and he revamped their area's club and became a vendor. And he's been running events since then.
I think for me, like when we went to Maple Hill, I'm a visual guy, art background, whatnot. I wanted to watch at Maple Hill how they handled their VIPs. They've got woods. We've got woods. How are they doing it?
Yeah, because they have the similar problem we have. You can't fit so many people in certain areas.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. So, and that's why I enjoy going to these bigger events. And we were talking earlier, like, where is this summit with TDs that we can all bounce ideas off of?
Right.
I go to these events to get that. like while we're at USDGC this week, I will just be watching the vendor area. Now, I think that our vendor area at Idlewild is outstanding. What are they doing different that can make it a little better? Yeah. We had a Jumbotron this year. I've seen that at a couple events. Sure. Why not? That's, so
write that down.
Yeah.
Jumbotron.
They're expensive.
Yeah, tell them about the Jumbotron.
The first one, we ran into some guys. So Adam and I got an award with Kentucky State Parks and Recreation for running Idlewild.
Yeah,
No big
special
deal.
achievement.
No big deal.
Yeah.
So we went down there, and it was at their convention. And
Corbin, Kentucky, home of KFC.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
The Colonel. So before that, we got to meet some of the vendors who were at this convention, and one of them was a Jumbotron. And I was like, man, that's a good idea. Yeah. What do you guys charge? And he's like, $5,000 a day. And I was like, that's So now instead of, whatever, now I got to raise $15,000 extra.
Yeah.
We were down there with the Boone County Parks director, and he's like, how much does it cost to buy it?
That's his answer.
That's his answer. He's like, let's just cut out the middleman.
Yeah.
But they were like, half $250,000. And he's like, yeah, never mind. So I came back. I ended up finding another local place. That place was out of Louisville. I found a place local, and they're like $7,500 for the weekend plus taxes, this, that, and this. So the place from Louisville contacted me. They're like, "What? Have you made a decision?" I was like, "Well, found this place locally that's ready to do it for $7,500." He's like, "I'll match it, half price." Okay. Now I am passing his information on to the rest of the Pro Tour because that's going to become a norm.
Totally. Yeah. Absolutely.
I don't know if it's going to get to the point where the Pro Tour pays that. Or they require that.
Yeah.
But if that guy can get in with us, move on to
smart to match that price
because it's a nationwide company. They've got outsources, all over the place. So, like, back to your question, we're doing the same thing you are.
Yeah.
Now, if I went to your shop and looked around, I would be doing the same thing as you.
Yeah.
I would have a checklist.
Yeah.
So me, I don't follow a whole lot on social media.
Sure.
I've been doing it too long. I've been on Facebook since you had to have college email address to get onto it. And I was on MySpace. Let's go back. I was on the Globe.
Yeah.
I've had my share of it. I'm over it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Who was in your top 8 on MySpace?
A bunch of girls from around the world that I had no idea who they were. But I think, and I would love to do that, is make a trip up and see what you've got going on.
For sure.
Because, I've been to a lot of shops around the country.
Yeah.
Shop on a course is different than your guys are probably the same thing as us. We're limited by space.
Yeah.
Totally. How are you utilizing that space? How are we utilizing it? What are you carrying that we're not?
Yeah.
Like going to Marshall Street is different than going to your shop or our shop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've got a, 6,000 foot warehouse and they carry every brand known to man. We can't do that. And you guys can't do that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I think visually going to your shop, I would have a better input on that.
Yeah.
But we're the best at it. So, No, I'm just kidding.
Hell yeah.
Well, we'll have to.
We don't do anything wrong.
Yeah. We'll just have to have the sequel to this episode.
Yeah. You guys are
great.
going to have to come visit us and hang out with us.
100%.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
So that'll be us just sitting down saying our shop's better.
Right.
Oh, you gotta
Well,
come
we've
up
assessed
you gotta come
everything
up and play
and-
Clash
yeah.
or something and get the whole event experience.
Yeah.
What I am
absolutely.
definitely jealous of is what I had in my mind that this area was like your shop, its location, the age of everything is like the personification of what I think of this area being older and kind of in the woods.
Right.
That I am very jealous of. We have a picnic pavilion that was modified into a building. Like it doesn't have roots.
No,
of
it doesn't
the
have the
area
character.
as far as centuries go. Like you are 1850s farmhouse, and you can feel it and you can smell it, and it's palpable.
Cold in the winter and hot in the summers.
Yeah, like that I am very, very jealous of. That is so cool.
With
that you
a
guys
Disney
have-
shop carpet.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, is that what
Disney
it is?
store.
Yeah.
That's where it came from.
Oh my God, that's great.
That's so dope.
I thought maybe it was like one of those old school roller rinks with the
arcade.
Yeah.
It's a
Arcade
Disney
carpet.
store.
Yeah.
But that is the aura when you walk up.
Yeah.
The shop just says, "Man, this place is awesome," and everybody wants to know what was this place.
Yeah.
Now I want to go back to the people that lived here in 1860 and say, "Hey, we're going to be selling frisbees out of here," and they're going to be like, "What is a frisbee?"
Yeah, right.
totally.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You mean those disc
The pie
racks weren't
company?
there?
Right.
Yeah. Pie company?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think just the scenery back here, just the what ambiance that comes around with it is pretty special.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Unfortunately, the downfall to that is we also don't have the drive-by traffic. You either stumble upon it, or a friend told you about it, or you come from out of town and you were on UDisc. So I think that is, if you have like a strip mall and you got a busy road, somebody cruising down the street, oh, there's a disc golf shop, let's go in there.
Yeah.
We don't get that. Now it's also word of mouth. I think word of mouth is better than anything out there.
I agree.
I can post as much as I want on Facebook. Some dude telling his 10 friends around a couple beers is better than that.
Yeah. I mean, we've got a good reputation. A lot of people know us, but we're constantly getting new customers.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The only downfall to our shop is, and I was mentioning this to you earlier, when we have new families, they get on Google, Cincinnati Disc Golf. Oh, with the Nati, they got a pro shop. So they come here, they buy discs. This is not the course to start out at, and neither is Idlewild, by the way.
Touche.
He knows.
Yeah, he knows that now.
But we are fortunate enough that we have some beginner skill level places like, hey, buy your discs here, go play a couple rounds at this place, come back, we'll give you some free lessons. We give free lessons out here all the time, fine tuning. Like I'm not going to sit here and spend 2 hours with somebody.
But we do the basic stuff. We've helped hundreds of people. But if we have resources for others for more in-depth coaching. We just
Can I get 2 or 3 universal beginner level tips for Jason or any other new player, so that you guys tell everybody when they're starting?
Don't throw a boss.
Yeah.
Don't throw a boss. All right.
Yeah.
I did not have one. So check.
Here's the best advice all around. Master your slow discs and work your way up.
Yes.
So start with your putter.
Yes.
Speed does not mean distance.
Okay.
Unless you get that speed up with your arm.
He
If not-
is you, and you are him.
Yeah.
And it is very strange.
I think that is like the biggest, I would say, and I tell people all this time, I think 90% of the people playing disc golf on a recreation level are throwing discs that are too fast.
Oh,
Yes.
Every single time we run a tournament, I'm always like, why does he even have that in his bag?
You know why you're struggling?
That is the
Yeah.
From the outsider's perspective, it's because you tell me it is a fast disc, then that's what I want
that
to throw.
translates
Because
to,
it's
it's
Yeah.
going to go far.
Oh,
they also
I
have
get
cool
it.
names.
yeah, exactly.
The faster ones have the cool. Hey, I want
They
to
got-
throw a
it's
Raptor.
got a great name
That's
and it
cool.
says it goes fast. That's what I want to start with.
Destroyer's cooler
It's-
than Leopard.
it's-
Yeah, totally.
Like hard to think about that's the wrong path to start.
Right. But I will tell you that you go back 6-7 years ago without flight numbers, that didn't happen as much.
That's interesting.
Now you still had like the guys like watching,
Are you saying that you think
didn't
the
have beginners
addition of flight
craving those
numbers,
hot new
right?
events.
The
Well, you gotta
addition of
think-
flight numbers being stamped on the disc may have like been a hindrance. Like it's done
No,
I think it does more
creating a
good.
false reality.
I think it does more good than bad once you understand the numbers.
Yeah, that's the barrier that we try and.
Right. This isn't what it's going to
dispel.
do when you throw it. This is what it's going to do when you throw it correctly.
Right.
yes. It's a guide for what it's designed to.
Yes.
And
Right.
and the flip side of that is the downfall to media and like things like Pro Tour and stuff. They're watching these pros throw Destroyers, Zeus's, Hades. I want what he throws. You can't throw that.
Yeah.
But
It's not for you.
But they'll buy one.
they'll buy one and they'll know.
And hey, ain't nothing wrong with that. Come,
And
keep buying them.
we'll talk people out of this constantly. Like, no, you don't want that.
And they'll buy it anyway and it'll come back around. I hate this disc. I tried to tell you I'd sell you a $10 six-speed.
I remember
Where are
being-
you guys at? I know that you guys don't play a ton, but
Yeah.
don't play a ton. Do you guys have current ratings? Obviously, current PDGA members. Are
Did you
playing
just challenge
anything at
them
all?
to a doubles match?
No, absolutely not. I just want to know: are
I used
you
to
got
compete a lot.
MP40 guys? Like, are you competing in MP40 if you were to sign up?
Do
for
we
a
look
tournament
that
in 2
old?
weeks?
Yeah.
You're older.
I
than
have
me.
been playing for 36 years.
Yeah.
So, I actually just turned 47.
Okay.
What's your PDJ number?
41210.
It's actually a lot lower than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
His is lower than mine.
I'm 27655. I joined in 2005. I passed on joining in 95.
No,
Sure.
you would have
I
gotten
know
a
a lot
shot
of
of
people like that at
3-digit.
home
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
I was going to do the 95 AM Worlds here, and I had to pass on it.
Yeah.
You would have been like 8.
No, that's Steve Mello. Steve Mello's number 8.
And I'm 32389.
Okay.
But you also got to look. Back then, there was no internet.
Yeah.
There was no.
Right.
Right.
We had
It wasn't.
we had
easy
a
to do the
1-800
thing.
hotline, flight line.
Yes.
You called for events.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or you got a
Yeah.
mailer
The
in the
movie phone
mail.
guy on the other end.
So I didn't even know that we had a local club, let alone the PDGA for the first 16 years I played.
I was lucky and bumped into him my second year.
Right. And I was lucky to see a flyer on a bulletin board about a tournament. And that's when I was like, So I took one, filled it out, and I was like, oh, I need a PDGA number. What is that?
Yeah.
So I mailed a check to the PDGA. I mailed a check to the TD. Yeah. So like, I mean, it's so weird nowadays.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, I'm 1,000 rated TD, and that's all you need to know.
Yeah. We are the same people. We are the same.
Yeah. If I was to play, I think I played one rated round in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Right.
And that was at DDO 2 years ago on Jones Supreme and 45-mile-an-hour winds.
How'd that go?
So in Cincinnati,
went.
you can throw some understable stuff.
Yeah.
I like throwing understable. I like throwing with some hyzer and let it flip up.
Yeah.
Guess what you can't do in
Yeah,
Emporia?
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is fast and overstable as you can. Do that again, and then putt with a felon.
Sure.
I think my rating was 748 for that tournament.
Yeah.
That's what you like. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. I like that.
I would say on a normal day like right now, I would say I'm 900.
Yeah,
Right on.
that's
Same.
That's right where we're
I think
at.
my rating says something like 848. But that was also towards the end of me competing while running an event, which is horrible. You play bad and you run a bad tournament.
Yep.
Yeah.
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 Can't
You
do
gotta
both.
you can't half-ass two things.
Never half-ass two things. Whole ass one thing.
Yeah, so we haven't played in an event that we run. Actually, I take that back. Ashland down in Oil City Classic that we run in Ashland, Kentucky. They're just such fun courses. We will both play the first round. Whoever's doing the worst, DNFs.
Ooh, I like that.
And they get to go back and set everything up for payouts and
Sure.
stuff. Now, we haven't gone down together in the past couple of years. Like, we're not going down this year, but we did do that a couple times.
Yeah, we
Other
were
than
tag
that,
team.
we never played in an event that we ran together.
Yeah.
You just got too much going on.
No, yeah, there's too much.
Yeah, like I have no desire to do that at the same time.
You try that and try it, and it's like, you know what, you look at yourself like you're not helping yourself, and you're definitely not helping the players you're trying to run a good event for.
Okay, so this has been amazing so far. We've covered so many cool things.
We might even use some of the stuff they've been talking
Yeah, a
about.
couple
Yeah,
things.
couple
I don't know.
minutes
I'll
at
probably
least.
cut it out. We'll
Adam
see.
sounds smart. Adam sounds
Yeah,
smart.
In case you
we can
you've
always
never
do
listened to this
version
Brian
2 with you guys there.
tells
us
every
here.
guest he's going to cut everything out.
Yeah.
So don't worry. But we would be insane if we didn't talk about Idlewild itself as a course. It's the reason we're here.
Yep.
It's what everybody knows about this area.
Yes.
Let's talk about everybody's. How do you want to do? You want to talk about like rating specific aspects or just like the experience?
Let's talk
like,
about specifically how we can get the paved stones that spell out Idlewild to look as good as they do in the pictures in UDisc.
So you can go down there and paint them.
Unfortunately, this was what I think this year and last year, it was only 2 years we haven't had one of the guys go out and paint it. Bill Randolph did it.
So that hole that
before.
you go up to from there
Yeah.
We don't use anymore.
was Pro Tour hole
wow.
6.
Okay.
We took that hole out, and that's when we combined 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 on the Pro Tour.
Okay. Okay.
That walkway doesn't get used for the Pro Tour. And I'm not saying that everything at Idlewild is done for the Pro Tour, but a lot of the beautification, little things like that.
It's going to be for that, sure. Yeah.
Like now.
But that was done before the tour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll paint it for you for next year.
Yeah, thank you.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
like we said, that's
When
all
we
we had
come
to
back
go off
next
of
year.
this trip was just the
Yeah,
pictures. he
yeah.
saw.
I just wanted to take a selfie
It's
next to the
different.
thing I saw on UDisc.
Yeah.
And I wasn't able to do it.
No, we got up. I mean, hole 1, like we discussed earlier, was quite a bit longer and
Just a
more
larger scale. of
Yeah,
what
just
I
so
thought
much.
I
But just
was ever
add
looking at
25% to
on TV.
anything that you
Yeah.
see on the coverage.
Yeah.
So you understand why people go to the right off the tee a lot.
Oh yeah, I went to the
it
right.
Just, it just pulls you down there.
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
right down. Yeah.
I was over there. Yeah. Everything about the course is 25% harder and of a grander scale than you see. It's just, it was incredible. But the type of golf that I think it is in general, I love to play, and I think suits my game. I just couldn't say enough about the course itself and that style of golf. Like I would just, if I had to pick a course like that, I would play that style every single time. I loved
The
it.
fact
so.
that you got to play golf.
Yeah, you have to play golf. You have to have a second shot, and you have to have a placement shot, and you have to have a good putt, and you have to have a scramble game. And every aspect of that game was present in that round. So it was awesome.
It's one of those courses that as soon as you try to shortcut the place, it turns around and bites you.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And that was hard for us to explain to Jason, because when you get into trouble, we can, because we've been playing long enough that you can kind of try and find a way to get forward and get out of it, but get yourself in good position.
Yeah, you've been through situations where you developed ways out of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
But for Jason, like explaining to Jason that you should just pitch perpendicular out to try and get back to where you can play again is so difficult a concept. And Idlewild is probably one of the worst in that genre to try and do that with, because moving forward is not moving forward.
Take your medicine and move on.
Right.
Yeah,
So-
how many of you guys stayed out of the tall grass on 21, the long hole?
I think you and I both ended up.
I was in it, yeah.
but not
Yeah.
too
But
bad.
barely.
I was not.
Yeah.
I stayed out of the grass. I was good.
Yeah, I stayed out.
So that tall
Clean all
grass
the way.
used to be another like 20 feet on each side.
It was
And
60 foot wide all the way down.
Oh wow!
I would not
Originally,
have
not enough.
stayed out of
And
the grass.
remember when I was talking to you about keeping score for rec player or counting scores for rec players?
Yeah.
Go spot on that hole for rec players.
Yeah, no
They
kidding.
throw to one side, and then they're not
Yeah.
doing what you
Spotters out there.
said. They throw clear to the other side.
Sure, and we're back in the car again.
You're like, just throw to the fairway.
Well, we're back in the car again.
Yep.
Because we don't do that OB for them. So it is back and forth. And like you said, I will tell them, take your medicine, just throw out here. I'm tired of looking through your your disc for you.
Sure. Yeah, it's a hard concept.
On that hole, there was a couple kind of off to the side that were just kind of sitting there as we were playing past. And as I walked, I didn't see that they were there. And as I walked past, I said, on this hole, can I just once throw and have it not end up in the weeds? And the dude in the couple goes, welcome to Idlewild. Thanks, dude.
And we couldn't
Appreciate
even
it.
see him, which was made it even funnier.
Yeah, it was very fun.
Yeah.
It was the ghost of hole
Out of
21.
nowhere.
Yeah.
Idlewild, is that you?
Yeah.
But we also didn't mention, but Sheila's behind us. She played the entire round also, and
Yes.
she did great. I mean, she is like the queen of just throwing dead flat straight.
Yeah.
And it's not 400
200
feet.
feet.
But
Always on the fairway.
yeah, that's such a great
So
way to
she's
play this course.
the female version of Isaac Robinson.
Yeah, I mean, she was.
I mean, watching him play Idlewild is like you said, like he plays golf there, and it's a joy to watch how smart he plays that course.
Yeah. You can't bomb. You can't try and take advantage. You can't be super aggressive because you just end up in the shit. But yeah, it was awesome to watch her play too. So.
Something we always joke about is how par doesn't matter. There's a lot of meanings to how we apply that. And what I experienced at Idlewild was that like there was some holes that were like maybe that distance on a different fairway is like a tweener between par 3, par 4. But I felt really good at Idlewild getting a 3 on a lot of those holes, even though it wasn't necessarily a birdie. It was like, I feel okay with this.
Hole
Like,
one's a tweener.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Distance wise, it could be a par 3 or a 4.
Yeah,
Right.
for sure. Yeah, I felt really good getting 4s and 5s on a few
Yeah.
of them. So yeah, absolutely.
I know you guys got to get going. We have one more topic I need you to talk on for like 2 minutes.
Bengals, Reds, UC Bearcats, FC Cincinnati.
All right, fair enough.
I really would love to see the Bengals turn things around. God, I would love to see the Bengals turn things around right now. But what's next for Idlewild? And you take that however you want to take it.
And I think we want to bring that up because what we saw, and the only, I don't want to say we didn't enjoy it but the criticisms that we are taking away from, because we are rating these courses before we come to see them, are things like it was tough for us to find our way on the 24-hole course. Like, so with the U-Disc map, we were able to do it, but without it, we never would have, right? Some of the signs are a little dated because of some of the holes that you put in and everything like that. So is that something that you're working on, like signage and directionals and things like that? Or is that like, that's out of our hands?
So do you want the future of Idlewild as a whole or as in terms of a Pro Tour event?
I think you can take it however you want, but the
do both.
The thing that I wanted to hear about was like, what is your next big
Does it both go hand in
passion
hand?
going to go into? Whether
At
it's an
Idlewild?
event, whether it's an event or a course change or whatever.
Okay, so a quick breakdown would, like we had talked earlier, like we're replacing some tee pads every year.
Yes.
We've been doing like 5 of it at a time.
Yeah.
Now, as far as like new tee signs, the idea would be to wait until we're set on forward tees.
Rather than continuing to replace every time you make a move.
Exactly.
Who does that?
Right. I think that would be the
Make a lot of moves. Sorry.
I think that would be the short answer for that.
Yeah.
Maybe when we replace tee pads, some of them get moved. Maybe distance is a little bit off. So I would wait. I would say that, the future of the tee signs, next arrow, things like that. The parks know about that. But like you said, do you spend $4,000 on tee signs now to replace half of them?
Yeah.
Yeah, but we need to get them out to some of the forward ones as even temporary.
Right.
basis.
So like Pro Tour 7, which is the down to the flat and up the hill, has a forward tee, doesn't have a tee sign right
it's
now.
course number 11.
Same way with once you get back like to the Kevin Jones hole, which is the up the hill one, that forward tee doesn't have one. So yes, that is in the future.
And you can see there's work being done. You can see areas that were dug out around tee pads and things like that, where there's definitely stuff.
So we are going to be putting retaining walls around all of those tee pads as well. That's been a project that
I get to supervise.
Yeah.
Lucky dog.
So visually, especially like the KY hole, that will look a lot better. You know, camera right now going back to it is just a dirt mound.
Right.
As far as the Pro Tour event, I would say our layout is pretty solid right now. I think you will see FPO maybe get a tee pad or two, and some pars change.
Cool.
Nothing drastic. Our goal this year at Idlewild was we focused on spectators, and you see that on hole 24, all that clearing out that we were talking about before. Yeah, it changed the holes. But in hole 12, you guys didn't play that because the basket's now moved back to the original spot.
Sure.
But it's short and in the woods now because where the basket is now, flare skips go right down to that tee pad. And if you've got, a foursome down there, you've got a couple hundred spectators, it was not safe.
Yeah. Totally.
Right. Awesome hole. We didn't want to move it, but it needed to be
Too
moved.
many conflicts, and it created a lot of backups.
Yes. So
which pretty much almost eliminated this year.
Yeah, there were like no backups on it.
Great.
Nobody got hit by a disc. Changed the hole a little bit, but
it's phase one.
Yeah, it's things like that you got to take into consideration. What's good, what's not. Is this safe? And that's most of the changes that we do are like the hole that I was telling you that we took out wasn't a score separator. It was either you threw a roller and got a nice deuce, or you got a 3. And then it was a mile walk from that basket to the next tee.
And the video was terrible.
Yeah, so it was because you're back in that hole. And the camera guys out in the sun.
Down in the little gully.
Yeah, you just couldn't film it. So that's why we took that hole out and added the 2 new holes that we did this year or last year.
Love the answer of prioritizing the spectators and making sure that coming to the events, not just playing.
Got to get your money's worth.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's needed right now. That's
because it's not just the players out there competing.
Right.
Every event is.
Totally.
And I think what we did on hole 18. It used to be. In previous years, you'd have to have a VIP pass to watch that whole hole. Everybody else got shifted from hole 17's green all the way up to 18's green.
Yeah, you just fall behind them.
So all you see is their shots coming out of the woods and their putts. So that was it was a big priority this year is taking care of things like that. And I was telling you earlier, how about spectator rope, managing that to what's functional and what's not.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, we're at 7:00 on the dot. I know you guys got to get going. So thank you so much for when we came in the shop being great hosts and talking to us and making us feel welcome, and then to go, yeah, sure, we can give you 2 hours of our time today. Amazing. This was so cool.
Yeah, super appreciate it, guys. This was awesome.
Thank you.
This made the trip as much as the courses did, for sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
And, thank you guys for coming out. Thanks for what you guys do back home.
Yeah.
We appreciate what you do, even though we don't see it physically.
Yeah.
We know what goes on into it.
Yeah. Well, that's what we got to change now, boys.
Yeah.
You got to come up
real
with
quick.
Like I tell you, you
quick.
can always contact us anytime. Questions, concerns. We can. You can
I
do
want to
another-
exchange numbers and stay in contact. And
Hell yeah. Yeah. Who's the local homies that you guys want to shout out while you got microphones in front of you?
Joey Votto, Joe Burrow. No.
Joe Burrow.
Well, we are mentioning like Rebecca Cox.
Yes. So,
We
you got to
support
throw
her.
it back to old school. Rebecca and Dave Cox, Fred Salas, Dan Bayless, Scott Erkey, Russ Tolke, Pete Caldwell, Calvin Caldwell, UC Discats, who won collegiate nationals this year.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Tanner Young, who won singles collegiate, is from here as well. There's a lot. But I will say, and I'll let Adam give his sign off, come to Cincinnati. We got a lot of courses. We got beginner friendly courses all the way up to Idlewild, everything in between. And we have Skyline Chili.
We're headed there shortly.
Yeah, we are going to be eating that.
Yep.
And I'll shout out La Quinta Inn, that pool, that hot tub.
Ooh,
nice.
changed our world.
Wait, boy.
Yeah.
Nice.
I cannot wait.
And before you go, just give me a yes or a no. Do you like discgolfscene.com?
I use it all the time.
You like it?
Yeah. Well, I've known. Was it Pete?
Yeah.
It is.
For
As a
since
matter
he
of fact,
started.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've done a lot of added input and helped him over you, but he's good.
It's a lifesaver for TDs.
It makes.
I personally think that every disc golf website.
Well, the only other option was
needs an
Innova's.
update.
Yes.
Oh, we talk.
Still,
preaching to the choir.
PJ.
Yeah.
They all just need to get modernized.
Yeah.
Big time.
But disc golf scene, we use it for everything.
Yeah.
It's super convenient.
And even on the mobile, you can literally run. There's times where I've run an entire event mobile with tour manager and disc golf scene. On my phone.
Yeah.
Yep.
You can do it all. I mean, sometimes, it's the laptop helps, makes you do things so easier to have multiple. But if you're good at what you're doing,
All right, I'm packing up.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thanks for having us.
Peace, love, and disc golf.
We'll try and visit.
Well, since there's no Callahan to run down, that is a wrap on the disc golf scene segment of the show. So this segment was brought to you unofficially by
discgolfscene.com. Come on,
Pete. That was amazing. And
That was super sick.
What else is there to say? Well,
I mean, from Idlewild to Mt Airy to Nati to getting to hang out with Jason and Adam, I feel super fueled up to go home and continue to do what we're doing because they are continuing to do what they're doing, and I'm just feeling super inspired. I gotta say, from A to Z, I'm so glad we made this trip, and I can't wait to get home and keep doing what we do at home.
Very cool to see how another group is doing it. All the parallels. So yeah, learned a lot. Amazing disc golf out here. Getting to watch Jason's growth was so cool.
I'm actually looking forward to taking this bag and going out to Delhi.
Yep.
Look for me. I'll be there.
So
I think you should have that growth removed, to be honest. But whatever, go ahead.
Should we do Destination Penetration again next season? Go somewhere new?
Ooh, maybe.
Ooh.
As long as it's not insane. But
let's commit
because
right this
was
second.
A ton of fun
On air.
to do this. I'm so glad we saw it all the way through.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Worth it.
Totally.
Yes.
We'll figure that out next season, though.
Yes.
Yep.
This was great. Thanks for listening, guys. Thanks for all your support. Until next time, keep it on the fairway.
See ya.
Later, y'all.
Peace. Unstable Discourse is produced by Sheila Callahan. Edited by Ryan Fancher. Beats provided by Alex Seminary. And produced in association with Unstable Disc Golf Gear. Look good, feel good, play good.
Unstable Discourse is a Top Secret Studios production, baby.
Gooch, taint, whatever you want to call it, it is screaming